Good morning, everybody. It's Sandapelli the Sandini. You know what? I had so many incredible plans. I set things up on my computer with StreamYard and was really excited about using this new platform today. And I woke up to different songs the last 2 days. So it's been a really interesting lead up to this workshop, to the guides and mindset. And I really want to kind of talk about this because it's really important, that mindset. The computer, I had a lot of problems with it yesterday, having a lot of problems with it again today, and I'm on my cell phone, so I'm not even in StreamYard because my iPhone needs iOS 13 or something like that, and I have an iOS iPhone 6, which will not download that level. So it's really interesting how I'm moving forward. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying things, and again, I'm going up against that wall. I'm hitting that upper limit. I'm hitting that glass ceiling. Notice the smile on my face. I honestly, I think it's pretty comical. Like I said, a week ago Sunday, I was so frustrated. I was crying. I was upset. I was hugging my husband. I was whining to my stepdad. All these things were going on, and during the week things started to flow a lot better. So I just kind of wanted to bring that in, and I am talking about mindset. Okay, morning, Torald. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I love that you're here all the way from Norway. That's so beautiful. So the songs that I woke up to, okay, very, very interesting. Yesterday was "Oh Christmas Tree," which is kind of like a song of hope. And this morning I woke up to "Earth below us, drifting, falling, floating quickly." A David Bowie song, which kind of emphasizes this feeling of this astronaut in his capsule, and he's all alone and he feels unsupported, and Earth is way over there and it's going further from him. And I really love how these two songs came through, and I'm coming on to do this course with you guys, to do this workshop with you guys, the guides and mindset workshop. So let me know you're here. I know I can see that there's at least 3 people watching. Only one of you have said hi. Please say hi so I know that you're on here. It really helps me to keep my energy up, and it really helps me to see the engagement coming from you guys so that I know that stuff's happening. You know what? It's been a beautiful, beautiful experience. First of all, let me say hi. I'm Sandapelli the Sandini. Hi, Marie. Inner peace mentor, trigger technician, and block and tackle coach. And I take all of these very seriously because it's just like that song, the David Bowie song, the feeling that you're possibly alone and unsupported. And I really want each of you to know how much I am here to support you in a very large way. That's why I'm holding this in this group rather than taking it outside and putting it in a different group. I really kind of have switched gears a little bit around that. And as you've noticed with my growth, I'm getting more and more clear on what I want. And that's all we can each do, is start to get more and more clear on what each of us wants. And we all have different paths. So really kind of stepping into the energy of what do you want in your path. So I want you to write down 3 words. Hopefully you got a pen and paper handy, you're taking notes. If not, write them in the comments on here, and then you can come back and take a look at them. I'd like you to write down 3 words that you would like with regards to your personal self during this workshop, please. I really want you to be proactive about this so you can see and feel and start to step into the energy of what you want to have. Hi, Katie. Really happy to have you here. So the first prompt that I've got, everybody's kind of listening to, they've said hi. The second prompt that I'm giving you is that I really want you to write down 3 words in the comments or on a journal. I'd love to see the comments here about what you want out of this workshop. Knowing that it's guides, knowing it's mindset. I spoke a little bit at the beginning about some mindset issues that I'm on my phone. I'm not on my computer. I know I came in really hoping to go in one direction, and here I am off in another direction. because I had thought that I was going to be doing StreamYard, but instead I am on my cell phone because my laptop, my cursor is choosing to be non-existent, and it's really hard to use a laptop if your mouse and cursor are nowhere to be found. And honestly, when I say nowhere to be found, I mean my touchpad's there, but the little pointing arrow is non-existent. And it took me over an hour to get it going yesterday. I've been working for 45 minutes this morning already, attempting to do this. So it is what it is. And you know what? I'm coming to you with a smile on my face and working through the phone, because thank goodness I had this method to use instead. So write down 3 words about what you want to do, and literally, if it's guides and mindset, write down guides and mindset. If it's the fact that you want to feel connected, if you want to let go of struggles or like a grief, write down 3 things that you kind of want to do in the comments, so that I've got a better understanding on how I'm going to help you through this workshop. I sent out an email today that was really, in my mind, I thought was quite powerful. I sent it out last night. It was the what's happening this week, and I did a write-up. Just see, oh my goodness, all the way from Cuba. I love it. So we got Americans on here, a Canadian on here, Norwegians, and Cubans on here. I'm really loving the beautiful flow of all of us worldwide coming together on this. That's so magical. And you just see, I'm betting any money you probably don't understand half of what I say, but flow with the energy, feel into the energy of what I'm bringing to you, feel my support and love for each one of you coming out of me, okay? Coming through me, truly. So I sent out an email yesterday about what's happening this week, and I included a little bit on the end of it. My open rate for my emails, I'd love to have it be a lot higher. There's a lot of really important information that's coming through on those emails, and if you guys were opening them and reading them, you'd have a little bit better idea of the things that you have available to you. I only had 2 participants into the Step into the Light Fantastic Star Meditation and Vision book process this past Saturday, and I'm telling you, it was probably one of the most powerful meditations I've done, and they keep getting more and more powerful, but everybody's missing out on them. I know one of you on here really wanted to be there and had made it clear to me you wanted to be there, except that you had other things that were going on. So I really want to stress, first of all, and primarily, the importance of opening up the emails. Yes, they're coming from a third area, MailChimp. They might be in your other folder, your promo folder, your spam folder. Take a look and just move it into your inbox, because that will have them being in a place where you're able to see them. And anyway, I wanted to bring that up to you because what I wrote about this workshop is really kind of really deep, and it was about how the things that are going on in our lives and the things that we've been raised with are that mindset that are actually hindering us from connecting more strongly with our guides. Okay, so you guys have all heard me talk about my Empowering the Healer Within program, and some of you have gone through it and have found major shifts in your energy, changes in your energy, and you've gone on to do more incredible things, and you've started to open up and grow. And that's kind of, in short, what I really want to bring back to you guys, is that I've gone off on this mindset direction, but I'm really kind of noticing the who's been going through. And when I put out these couple of things that I put out more recently in this group, I put out a post about what are the top 3 things do you want in this what kind of information do you want coming through? And guides was like the number 1. It was really interesting. Like, I'm going to show you what I've got done here, and it's a little bit of a mess, but it's quite interesting. So when you did your survey, this is what I did. I wrote down what I put in that survey, and then I put dots behind each one of the ones that you guys specifically wanted to know about. Okay, guides was literally number 1. Okay, and close behind that was pendulum and upper limits. triggers and expectations and manifesting. So I found that that was very interesting. I noticed the people who wrote about the expectations, triggers, and upper limits, most of them had actually been through my program. So they're already at that understanding of how important our mindset is with regards to being connected with our guides. So now how do we bring this all together? Let me have a drink of water. Talking a lot already, and we're only 5 minutes in. I really want to say how much I absolutely appreciate how many of you participated in writing down what you guys wanted to have more information about. And let me just read your comments here, because yeah, I see there's some great things coming in about what you're wanting. Deeper focus, clearing, and connection. I love that. Let me put my glasses on. Clear, release programming. I have a lot. Mental blocks, how to release, and connecting with guides. Beautiful, Terrell. I love that. Good morning, Cherries, my cousin's daughter. I love that. Exactly. So a lot of these things are mindsets, and what we're going to do is work towards empowering you by shifting some of this mindset and moving into a stronger connection with your guides. If you're just joining, please say hi. If you're just joining, please follow note that these people that are making comments about 2 or 3 things, I've asked you to say what are the 3 things you'd kind of like to get out of this workshop, so that I have a better idea of how to direct this. And I love Katie's answer there too. Guides, connection, and confidence. Exactly. You know, I had a beautiful conversation with a tribe member last night, and she mentioned about how she's watched me, like she's gotten to know me even better over this last 1.5 years, 1.75 years almost. And she just loves how I'm talking about magic, how I seem to have things happen to me, but I still stay in an almost like a really good place, or I shift back into that really good place. That's happening for a number of reasons. It's happening because of my guides, and it's happening because of my mindset. And that's what I want to really bring through with you guys, so that we can get on the other side of this and really start to work better. And if I can do that even with this group, we're going to make a world of difference with the people that are around us. Okay. So, I also really wanted to say thank you to you guys for all the people who went and did the survey. And it is still available. You still have it out there to put your input in if you haven't done it, because I will look at it. That input really helped me to, again, write down what your struggles were, write down how you're connecting or how you're attempting to connect, and to write down how you would like to feel at the other end of it. All of this has been really important information that's going to help me to help you. So thank you so much for doing that survey that I put out there too, through Monkey, Survey Monkey. Let me just read what this other person's written here. Camille, good morning. Feeling into stepping out and dancing and tribal drumming, feeling quite excited. I'm open with no expectations. I love it. Limitations, and happy with what we will share. I love that. What a beautiful, beautiful mindset to step into this with. And I do want to say that I need my glasses to read this. I need my computer on to power the phone. And the photo that's on there is all this white snow. So that's why you're getting this odd view on my lenses. So it is what it is, right? So let's get going. Let's step into this, okay? First of all, I want to point out that what Camille wrote in her comment is probably one of the most important things that you guys will do, okay? It's the I am open with no expectations, no limitations, and I am okay with the outcome. I know I just did this. I did some, what's the word? What is the word I want to use? Hi, Jennifer. I'm glad you're here. Everybody send Jennifer a wave of good health, please. She's feeling a little low with the energy, and we could just send her a wave of good health towards her, and to anybody else who needs it in the group. I've been speaking about that mindset, and that I am open mantra is probably one of the most powerful ways to step into doing this. I love that Linda wants to be on my video. Maybe she clicked the wrong button, and that's all right. Good morning, Linda. The I am open mantra. I'm going to breathe our way through this right now because I can feel the energy amping up as more and more of you come on. And it's because you're coming on with possibly with expectations, possibly feeling very limited, possibly feeling unsupported, possibly feeling like you're not okay with the outcome, that you want something different. So let's just breathe our way through the I am open mantra first. And as we do that, I really want you to be aware and conscious of what's happening within your entire physical body. Okay? I am open. With no expectations. No limitations. And I am okay with the outcome. I would like for you each to write in the comments, how do you feel now, having breathed your way through that mantra? 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, whatever you want to do. Write down how you feel now. I know I can feel the peace, the calmness, the serenity. And these are words that Jennifer will recognize because they came up very strongly in our meditation on Saturday. Charisse, you wrote down guides and working through the blocks. This mantra, the I am open mantra, the way that we just breathed our way through it is how to start to work our way through the things that are going on. I love that. You guys are saying relaxed. Exactly. We've gone into this beautiful state of being, which is very much more proactive for moving into whatever's in front of us. Okay? So I use this like this morning as my computer was frozen with my mouse. You know, it wasn't frozen in that I could hit the tab and I could use the arrow down button, the arrow up button, and the tab button. Those were working, but the cursor was frozen. And instead of getting all flustered again, I had to giggle my way through it. And I realized that I was literally writing in my morning pages at the same time that mantra, I am open with no expectations, no limitations of being okay with the outcome. I love what you guys are writing. So, so very important. Recognize the words that you're writing down around that mantra, okay? Use this mantra when you are making any, when you want to connect with your guides, use this mantra. When you are feeling like things are not going your way, use this mantra. When you are having a frustration about what's going on in your life, use this mantra. If you're having a fight with your spouse or a loved one or a coworker, use this mantra. Seriously, you will train your energy, train your physical body to really start to shift into it a lot more quickly. Honestly, you guys, how long did that take for us to get into that peace-filled stillness, awareness, and consciousness, right? It honestly is about a 30-second thing. And if we don't have the time to do that 30 seconds, what does that say about our entire life, right? This is something about self-care, right? So there's mindset again around self-care. When you step into using this mantra, you're taking a step towards connecting with your soul energy, the energy of who you are, the very essence of who you are. So that's why I really keep driving home this I am open mantra. I actually sent it out to one of you, right? It just takes that breathing your way through that to bring you into this different state of being. So that's going to be one of the very key elements with regards to connecting with your guides and with regards to your mindset, okay? So this is self-care coming in, but it's also something that's helping you to shift out of that negative frustration into a clear way of looking at things, okay? So let's talk about parts of that now. I can also tell that a number of you have been obviously, working with me for a while because you're very familiar with how easy it is to slide into the energy of that. But some of you might be a little bit shyer on camera and you're not writing down possibly what you're truly feeling with regards to this mantra. And that's okay. Because it's my awareness when I start to work with people that when they are saying this mantra for the first time, second time, third time, sometimes it's really difficult to get past that I'm okay with the outcome. And I really wanted you to know you're not alone. There are so many people who are so stuck on that word outcome, and they have no idea why. They just know that they really don't want to step into all different kinds of outcomes, but it's because of the expectations they have. And honestly, it's just like when we learned how to tie up our shoelaces. We didn't just do it once and we knew it for the rest of our lives. We did it time and time and time again. We practiced, right? So that's what I'm asking you to do with the I am open mantra. I want you to practice this. Practice it daily. Practice it hundreds of times during the day if you need to. That's what I did, okay? There will come a moment when you actually will be able to feel your energy shift around that whole thing, and you'll feel really good about all of it. But first of all, let me explain the mantra a little bit more deeply. Expectations, okay? In my program, in my day-to-day talking, in the membership, in the soulful call like we have on Tuesday mornings, Tuesday afternoons, depending on where you live, and Tuesday nights, deep in the night, depending if you're in Norway, right? That expectations, I'm always talking about expectations and what it means. So what expectation is, it's a boulder in the river. And when you put that boulder in the river, the water can no longer flow around it the way it wants to flow. It has to figure out how to get around that boulder, how to get around your expectation. Okay. So now if you have the ability to figure out what that expectation is, oh, a bird just flew into the window, and it flew away though. So this is really important information because this is something that's hitting you in the head. If you are having a rut happening and you keep hitting it up against something, it's because you have an expectation around it. Okay, if you're getting frustrated with something, it's likely you have an expectation happening around it. When you learn and understand what that expectation is, then you have the ability to remove that expectation, to let go of that expectation and get out the other side. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more deeply about this. We, as I mentioned, have expectations all around us. I actually was telling a tribe member last night that we expect so much, and we're raised with expectations. And if you know what an expectation is in your life right now, feel free to write it down in the comments, please. Okay, so it could be said, or I could say that when I got up this morning, I expected my computer to work properly. I expected my mouse to work properly. Okay, honestly, I woke up optimistic that everything was going to flow nicely. Here, guess what? It is. I'm on my phone. I just shifted gears, right? I shifted into doing something else and was still able to come on and work with you guys. We have expectations, as I mentioned, from the time that we're born. And seriously, guys, this is how bad expectations are. We are even expected to come out of the womb in a certain amount of time, meaning that, they say 40 weeks or 9 months, and yet my daughter was 2 weeks. Exactly, Jennifer's is to feel better. The zippers, the buttons, knowing how to do these up, the learning how to say the alphabet, teeth growing in our mouths. We are literally inundated with expectations from the moment we're conceived. Because even in the conceiving, people expect to have a child, like expected to be a healthy child. It goes on and on and on. Okay. And whatever, you know, I'm going to dial it back a little bit here, and this may resonate for some of you, and some of you, if it doesn't resonate with you, that's absolutely fine, okay? But we have made choices to be what we're going to be when we come onto Earth, okay? Meaning that we didn't make a choice as a teenager or an adult. This was all pre-figured out before we even came in and separated ourselves from the collective energy in one essence and became a human being. Our soul energy already had I was going to say in its mind, but I don't know if it's a mind. It had it in its collective higher self being. Good morning, Sheila. That it was going to come to Earth and experience something. And through these lifetimes that we've been living, we have been experiencing things. And if you're aware of where you are now, you are making your way back to being this incredible being, to being in soul's alignment, to be connecting with what you came from to begin with. You're just tapping back into the energy of what you were coming from to begin with, which is something else. That's a mindset shift again, right? So even though some of us have come here and experienced incredible lives, and some of us have come here and experienced ho-hum lives, and some of us have come here and experienced really atrocious, horrible things in their lives, it's because our soul energy made that choice to come here and experience this human experience and learn from it. And you've come a long ways. I want every single one of you to know you've come a very, very long ways. And you are definitely deep in the process of reconnecting in such an incredible, magical way. And it is so beautiful. And we do it by doing things like that simple mantra, that I am open with no expectations, no limitations, of being okay with the outcome mantra. So that expectation, how do we figure out what our expectations are? Jennifer wrote one down on there specifically. If any of you have any other expectations you know of specifically, write it down in the comments, please, while I have a drink of water. Through everything that we're doing, okay, guys, through every single thing that we're doing, I think the most important thing to recognize is that we are soul energy here living a human existence, experiencing a human existence, okay? Yes, I love what Camille's written, that the singing with the world, that she would love to be singing with the world every single day. But I can tell you from experience with speaking with Camille, she doesn't have every single day in her life waking up singing with the world. She'd love to be, but she doesn't. And that's okay. It's just like, you know, I have days where I wake up, like this morning, I got up, the first thing I thought of is, holy cow, did I ever decide to do this early in the morning? But the rest of my day is going to be so open for me to go out and maybe possibly get in a mountain bike ride, which I haven't had now for almost 2 weeks, and I would really, really like to do that. So do I have an expectation of being able to do that? No, but I could still want to do that. I could still hope to do that. But I'm open with no expectations, no limitations of being okay with the outcome. Because I'm in a situation right now where I don't know what's happening in this household for the most part. And things could change, so I have to change my plan if that happens, right? And that's okay. Because I'm open with no expectations, no limitations of being okay with the outcome. Now, if you know what your expectation is on something, that's beautiful. If you are unsure what your expectations are, then I highly recommend doing an automatic writing around an expectation. If you took part in the empowering experiences, you were likely sent out my freebie, which talked about, sorry, this thing keeps blipping into here when I want to see you guys. The freebie was around expectations, and in that freebie, I actually had a video and I spoke about what my expectations were in my marriage and how I almost destroyed my own marriage. And once I realized what my expectations were in the marriage, I was able to let go of those expectations. Now, when I say let go of those expectations, that's a really broad concept. it's like, okay, well, let go of those expectations, but they're not a tangible thing, right? It's like if I told you to let go of the ball in your hand, you can actually let go of the ball in your hand and it'll drop to the ground or whatever. But when I say let go of the expectation, it's not as tangible. It's a little bit more difficult to feel into the energy of that and know how to let go of it. So you could actually do exactly what I just said. You could imagine that expectation, like my expectation on my marriage, is sitting in my hand and I'm letting go of it. And what I mean by that is when I am conscious of that expectation to come up, that feeling of what I want in my marriage to come up, at that moment, I actually breathe my way through the I am open mantra. Okay? And it puts me beyond that expectation. Okay? And what happens is that the more that I do this, the more that I think, the more that bear with me here as I get my wording in correctly. So every time you have that specific expectation coming up around that specific thing, like my marriage, every time that I had that expectation coming up around my marriage, every single time that came up, I would stop and I'd go, that's an expectation, I'm letting go of it. I would literally think that in my head. That's my expectation on my marriage, and I'm letting go of that right now. And then I would breathe my way through that I am open with no expectations, no limitations of being okay with the outcome. And it became such a beautiful habit that I started to recognize those moments when I was okay with whatever he was doing, and he started to be able to express his love towards me in different manners, and I was recognizing it and I was seeing it, whereas before I wanted it to be coming to me in a very specific way. That was my expectation. When I let go of my expectation on how he should be doing something for me, that opened the door to letting him do whatever he wanted to do for me, rather than me saying, this is what I want you to do for me, and only allowing him to do that. Like, this is a little tiny place. You can only do this between these lines. Okay? As soon as I let go of that expectation, poof, he had all this open space to do what he wanted to do to express his love. I removed that boulder out of his way. Okay? Are you guys understanding what I'm saying here? Let me know. Get rid of the boulder. Let me see, get rid of the boulder. Okay, guys? So if you have something going on in your life and you feel very frustrated about this one thing and it just keeps popping you in the face and it feels like it's dragging you down, I would love for you to do an automatic writing around what is happening here. What is this expectation that I have with regards to this situation? Okay? And if you need help figuring out how to write that question, please do reach out to me and ask, okay? Please do reach out and ask. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Okay. So now other things have come up for me. I could use my mountain biking as an example. Okay. I honestly, I stepped off a stepladder back in 2001, I believe it was, and I dislocated both sides of my pelvis. And it was really, I could literally talk for about 3 days, probably, about all the things that happened to me energetically around that. But I want to say a couple different things here because the expectations is really dropping in rather quickly here. So I'm feeling like I'm going off on a tangent. But in reality, my guides are really starting to tell me to go in a specific direction around this. So I'm going to follow their lead. And notice how simple that was. So I started to talk about something. I had some words pop into my head that were about something more specific with regards to this dislocating my pelvis. And I'm paying attention to them. Okay, so that is one of the manners that your guides are working with you. When you're in the flow of something and you feel like you're just going along and then suddenly something pops into your head that is bringing your focus into something in a better manner, and notice I used in a better manner, that's your guides automatically working through you. You've opened that pathway so that they can work with you, okay? And it's because you're in the flow of things. You'll notice, and I'm just going to backtrack for half a minute here so that you'll understand this in a little bit better manner. You will notice when you get in a conversation with someone, if they're going all the way through their conversation, they're saying ums a whole lot, and you can feel them almost stopping and stuttering and umming. And then all of a sudden they're just like, and they're just talking, and it's just like, holy cow, they're in the flow. That's because they suddenly got into this space where they're in connection. They're really in strong connection with what they want to say. Their personal truth is coming out. They feel very comfortable about what they're talking about, and it's so easy to talk about. And they're no longer umming their way through it. And then when something pops into their head, they continue on with that because now they've opened up that flow. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So that's what just happened to me when I started to tell you about dislocating my pelvis in 2001. I was going to go off and talk to you about the this and that and all these different things and about mountain biking, but my guides have brought in a different form because I am the mountain biker. How many on here are mountain bikers? Probably not as many as I would like to be mountain bikers, but which is fine. But my guides dropped in a piece of information that might have the rest of you understanding this a little bit better. So I dislocated my pelvis in 2001. I dislocated on both sides, stepping off a stepladder. Severe agony, walking like a geisha girl, steps, very, very small steps, agony. I had difficulty carrying a dinner plate across the kitchen. So you can only imagine what this was like for my family life. I went into that with an expectation that Western medicine was going to be able to help me. I went to the doctor immediately after it happened. In hindsight, I should have called an ambulance. I didn't. I mean, I could walk out to my dad's vehicle very slowly, mind you, but I got out to my dad's vehicle. He dropped me off at the door. He didn't even come in with me. I was sobbing all the way down to the doctor's office. I went to the clinic. I didn't go to the hospital. So all these different things came into play. But still, I expected the doctors to be able to help me. And believe me, I went through a solid year of looking for help in Western medicine. I went to pain therapists. I went to nerve doctors. I went through physiotherapy. I went to, I don't know how many different doctors. I went for acupuncture. I went for this other type of needle thing that was like, holy cow, was that hell painful. But I truly expected Western medicine to help me, and it failed me incredibly. And it very well may have been because I was stepping into it with expectations. What happened is to make what could be, like I said, this is a 3-day conversation. What happened though is someone reached out to me and said, hey, there's this lady that does orthobionomy and other energy modalities, and that's what started my journey in a very profound way to where I am today. It's that expectations is so hampering. When I opened myself up to a new way of thinking, that's when things started to unfold for me, and my health got so much better. Okay. After this, like I said, I could go off on a 3-day tangent around that injury alone and everything that unfolded for the next however many years. The point is when you start to understand what your expectations are, then we're able to let go of them and move through them. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your support. And I'm glad that many of you understand what I'm saying about with expectations. And really, truly, this is the huge, huge one today, is I'm talking about expectations. And I'm not even going to talk about limitations right now because I think it's really important for each of you guys to really understand what the expectations are. I know that I gave one of you some homework yesterday around writing about expectations, but ask the questions. If you guys have questions, ask some questions in here now. I want to hear not necessarily feedback, but I want to help you guys start to understand what your expectations are. So if you are thinking, well, I wonder if that's an expectation, write it in the comments. Let me hear what you think an expectation is, and then I can go, yes, that's an expectation, and this is how you let go of it. Excuse me, I need a drink of water. Notice my throat chakra's acting up because you guys might be shy about writing down what your expectations are. Now, I'm not sure what you mean, Camille, by instinctual knowing. Is that an expectation that you're talking about? That you have an expectation that's an instinctual knowing? I can say that if that's kind of where you're headed with that, I could tell you that the human body has an instinctual desire to survive. So it will do the fight or flight, if that's what you're saying. An instinctual knowing, I think it depends on what topic you're talking about, okay? Man, lots of throat chakra stuff coming up with you guys. So that's the empathic, physical oneness, emotional oneness that's happening in me. It's my throat chakra is really closing up because of your guys' possibly not sure how to voice what you want to say here. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm putting you on the spot. But that's why we're here in this workshop, is so that you start to step into the energy of, first of all, asking for help, because that's what I'm doing right here. I'm telling you guys, I'm right here asking you guys to go, hey, what do you need? I'm going to read here what Troll says. If I want something or have an intention on something, isn't that an expectation also? What is the difference of all this? Beautiful question. Okay, you know what? I love this. Let me break this down in a way that ideally you'll hope to understand. I hope you'll understand. I'm going to read your comment again here. Okay. If I want something or have an intention on something, isn't that an expectation also? Beautiful. Okay, so there's one of the profound shifts in my life is because of something I made the conscious decision to start doing. Okay, I made the conscious decision to start living my life doing things for the highest good and for the most benevolent reasons. Okay, so if you want something, it's for the highest good or for the most benevolent reasons. If you have an intention on something, it's for the highest good and for the most benevolent reasons. And I really want you to understand, and I love how my throat chakra is acting up here. Excuse me. So if you have an intention of doing something, then if it's just to serve yourself and it's detrimental to everybody else, that's probably not going to work very well. Okay, if you have an intention on doing something for yourself and it's for doing self-care and it has no effect or it helps other people, that's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I use all different kinds of examples, so kind of give me just a moment here for letting this come through. It's really interesting because that meditation that I did on Saturday is kind of coming through. And what we did at the beginning of that is we set an intention, or we set a direction of where we wanted that meditation to go. Now, I don't pre-write out meditations. I just open myself up and I allow whatever information wants to come through. So I have no expectations on that, and I'm okay with what comes through, and I've decided I'm going to have no limitations, which I'm going to start talking about tomorrow, and I'm okay with the outcome because I'm doing it for the highest good and for the most benevolent reasons. So I know that the information that's going to come through is going to draw us in the direction of really helping us in a very profound way. So I do things where I'm serving the greater good. It's like I came on here. I didn't come on here to talk necessarily about myself or to tell you specifically about my journey. Yes, I use things from my life as examples, and I use things from other people's experiences as examples, but I'm not here to just better myself. I'm here to empower you guys. But I go in with no expectations. You know, I see the different names on here, so I'm just going to use a name as an example. So I'm seeing Katie is on here. I see she's understanding what I'm saying. I'm seeing that she can relate to this. Did I have expectation of her even being on this call today? No, because I was open to whoever was going to come on. I set up this call with the intention of helping you guys. Okay. Did I have an expectation of who was going to show up or how many were going to show up? I mean, this is a group of 196 people, right? And I personally can see that there's 9 people on here. There's probably others on here, but I can see personally that there's 9 people on here. So that's a very low number. That's like what? That's 0.25% of the group is on here, and that's okay, because you know what? You guys are obviously devoted and committed, and others who are watching the replay are in the same position. It's the timing of it is off, whatever the case is. It was coming into here. Even if it was just me talking, I'd have come onto here and I'd have done my thing. And if you guys picked up on it after the fact, it would have been fine with me, because I am not holding on to what the outcome of this is going to be with regards to myself. This information is being put out there for you guys, and what you do with it is entirely up to you. So what I'm saying around that, setting an intention on something, I intended to come on and do this. I'm doing this every morning for these 5 days. I'm going to do some more calls over the weekend and probably Monday as well around all of this. But I had no expectations with who was going to be on there, etc. Do I have imagination around that? Do I have ideas around that? Yeah, for sure. I had an inkling possibly of some people who might be specifically on here, because they told me they were going to be specifically on here. If they're not specifically on here right now, then something's come up, and I'm okay with that, right? I'm not sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, so-and-so said they're going to be on here and they're not on here. Wow, what happened? Why? What did I do wrong? Because that is so human to turn it right back into ourselves, right? And go the negative route down. So that is what expectations are doing. If I expected so-and-so to be on here and they weren't on here, then my mind starts to wonder the why, right? But if I'm open with no expectations and they don't show up, then I'm fine with them not showing up. So do you see how these expectations kind of come into play, Toro? Very, very interesting. So let me just scroll back here because I want to catch some of those other comments that are being made on there. So wanting something and then having an expectation around that. I'm just going to kind of come full circle. So we wanted a new truck. We even had some criteria with regards to that truck, but we didn't have expectations that this was what the truck was going to be exactly. So I'm going to say that when we wanted the truck, we didn't choose the brand name, we didn't choose the color, but we did say we wanted it to be a 4x4. We did say we wanted it to be extended cab. We did say we wanted it to have low mileage, and we did say that we wanted it in a price that we could afford. But we didn't put a brand being Ford, GMC, Chevy, Pontiac, whatever, and we didn't put a color on it, okay? And we didn't even put a year of the make on it. So these were the things we left wide open. This was the criteria we specifically wanted, okay? So we looked at mega amount of trucks. We test drove mega amount of trucks. For half a year, we test drove probably 30, 40 different trucks. And then one morning, you know, I woke up thinking, oh my goodness, I just saw a green truck. So I mentioned this to the husband, and we just kind of left it at that. You know, it wasn't like we started looking at only green trucks. Honestly, there's not that many green trucks out there that you could only look at green trucks when you're looking for this 4 criteria, right? And what happened was is he found a truck. I think it was a beige truck, and he drove 3 hours to go look at this truck, got there, realized that it did not have one of our 4 criteria. So he turned around and started to head back home. An hour away from home, there was a truck sitting in the sales lot that was green, and he phoned me, and honest to goodness, the next day we bought that truck. It was low mileage, a decent price we could afford, an extended cab, and a 4x4. And we are Ford lovers. It was a GMC. It was green, and what was that that other one. I can't remember what that other criteria was that I had on there. That, not criteria, but expectation. But do you see what I mean? You can want something and have some criteria to that. But if you say that you want this so rigidly, then that's an expectation. And you're not providing the space for what wants to come through to you in the easiest manner to come through. You're putting a boulder in the way. And hopefully that truck example was really helpful to some of you. Let me know if it was, please. Right, just write the word truck. Yeah, truck. Yes. So Colleen, I have an expectation for our moving dates all to line up without too much disruption. Is this an expectation? Okay, I love this. This is another one that we can talk about specifically as well. Okay, I have an expectation for our moving dates all to line up without too much disruption. Is this an expectation? I'm going to say on one hand that yes, this is an expectation. Okay. You know what? Things are going to happen that are out of your control. And now, if you kind of shift your thinking around this a little bit, it's going to possibly work out. Because when you have an expectation out there, you're setting yourself up to possibly be disappointed. Okay? So now, let's say you have this date specifically set up or a weekend set up. Let's say that you have a specific time on that day to be that this is going to happen, but the truck that's on its way gets a flat tire or it doesn't start properly in the morning and they are, say, going to be an hour late or something like that. You know what? All of these things happen for a reason. And it's so interesting because as I'm saying this, I can just feel this whirlpool of beautiful energy happening beside me here. They're showing that because they were an hour late, they got a flat tire, or they got the engine didn't work properly, that they avoided an accident on the road on their way to your place. So that is what happened on their end. You had an expectation of them showing up at a specific time. They're phoning you. They're saying they're going to be late because of this or that. Now, how you react to that call is what's important. Are you going to be like absolutely dismayed, disheartened, and oh my God, what am I going to do now? They're going to be an hour late. Or are you going to be, okay, I'm open with no expectation, no limitation. I'm okay with the outcome. They're only going to be an hour late. That gives me time or space to do this while I'm waiting. Right? So it's just really understanding how you are having that expectation out there for this. So, you know what? Yes, I can totally understand what's going on with you. I'm going to use myself as an example here too, Colleen. Okay, bear with me here as I kind of collect the thoughts. In October, my husband and I bought a fifth wheel and we handed in our notice. We knew that we were going to be moving before the end of October. Down into British Columbia. We thought we were going to be moving on this one weekend. I think it was probably the 16th of October. Let's use that as the date. I believe that was a Sunday, that was the date we were going to be moving. On Friday, this package was going to be delivered that was going to be installed into our trailer by our son. As it turns out, the package arrived. However, our son got called away to work. He was out of town. He wasn't even in town, was unable to do that for us. So our timetable got shifted. And on top of that, I ended up picking up a cold. I ended up getting a COVID test. I was negative, etc. And me traveling while I'm waiting for a COVID test result, that's a no-no, right? Me going out of the house, Paul going out of the house while I've just been tested for a COVID, that's a no-no. So all of these things fell into place that possibly would have blown our expectation of moving on the 16th out of the water. Because we had this kind of space, we still had another 2 weeks technically before we got out of there, before we had to be out of there because of our commitment to the landlord. We were open to letting these things fall into place when they did. So that's what I'm talking about with regards to that. So, setting something down and making it in stone is gonna mean that what are your feelings gonna be if things don't work out that way? Because that's the expectation. If you're feeling like frustrated, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling upset, if you're feeling dismayed, it's because you had an expectation of something going a specific way. If you're setting up all these dates to line up a specific way without too much disruption, and you're open with no expectations, no limitations, of being okay with the outcome. So I'm not going to say, let's take out that expectation. Okay, Colleen, if you have set things up for a specific date over a weekend or something like that, and that ideally you're hoping things flow without too much disruption, that in that way is not an expectation. Because you put an expectation at the beginning of that sentence and then finish that sentence with an expectation, that might be an expectation. But if you step into that having set up the date to line up without too much disruption, I honestly feel that if you breathe your way through that I am open mantra, that the things that unfold for you will be very smooth. But if you have an expectation that the dates are going to line up a specific way, then that's the problem. Do you understand what I'm saying with that? Do you understand how just by kind of removing that expectation of it to still fall in a specific way, if you remove that expectation and step into being open with no expectations, no limitations, being okay with the outcome, it's going to flow in a more easier manner because it's the way you personally are handling it, not necessarily how it's coming to you. Do you understand what I'm saying with that? Let me know, Colleen, and I'll maybe dive a bit deeper into that. It's within the heart of knowing in an immediate moment. Okay, Camille, I love how deep you're going. And that's that instinctual knowing. I feel it's within the heart of knowing in an immediate moment. Yes, I'm going to say yes, that is an instinctual knowing. Okay, it's just like when I was talking about that, I was starting to talk about my injury in 2001, the dislocating both sides of my pelvis. I was going to go off on a tangent and talk about my mountain biking, but this I instantly got this Western medicine stuff popping into my head. And when I say Western medicine, I mean I saw the physiotherapist, I saw the doctors, et cetera, et cetera. They kind of popped into my head on this side, and that's that instinctual knowing. It's when it came through like that. That's my guides. But that higher self, that higher brain. That's the thing I wanted to mention too. It's that the guides that we first work with are our higher selves, right? A little views. Okay, I'm going to have a drink of water and then I'm going to speak about what Charisse has written. This is a big, big, big one. Yes, Charisse. I have for as long as I can remember had the expectation to do everything for myself and others by myself with no help. Huge, 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 huge. You know why that is? Because we're taught from a very young age, you know what? Mommy's busy. Daddy's busy. Can you go do that by yourself? You know what? I don't have time right now. Go do that by yourself. You know what? We need to hurry up and get this done. You need to go do this so that we can get out of here. We're constantly told possibly to be going and doing things by ourselves. So that's why you have that within you. Okay, Charisse? We all do. I love that you're on here voicing this because every single one of us, and this is again one of those non-gender related comments, we have all been raised for that, like that. You know what? I learned how to ask for help. Sorry, I'm getting messages from one of the tribe members as I'm speaking with you on an unrelated matter. When I dislocated, in 2016, I actually broke my pelvis. It was a minor break, a sits bone. The sits bone is what you sit on. It's a bony protrusion underneath your pelvis there. And I actually had to ask for help. Okay, there was no way I could walk with crutches and carry things to the room where my bed was set up, etc. So I had to ask for help, and I didn't have to just ask for help from there. I actually had to ask for help in a much bigger sense because I had to ask for outside help outside of my house. I mean, it's one thing to understand that your dad and your husband are going to jump up and start to help you because you're incapable. They could see it, but I actually had to reach out and ask for help from others to pick up groceries or stuff like this because the husband was working and my dad was doing other things. So it's that learning for help. My husband, I mean, men are notorious for never asking for help, right? They really truly don't, and we as women don't ask for help either. So it's it's an expectation that we need to break the habit of doing. Okay, now, Charisse, I know for you, we've done some really interesting work around the Oracle and Tarot cards, and it's because I know your mom. She's my cousin, and it's because I saw that you had written on that drop down about all the things, the 10 things, pick 3 that you want to know about. You actually clicked on that being one of them as the Tarot Oracle cards. And so I reached out to you. So in one essence, you did say you wanted help because you actually made a point of making a comment on there. So this is, in fact, you beginning those stages of asking for help. I want you to be aware of that. This is a beautiful, beautiful step that you've done. And then you and I reached out and we had a conversation. I believe we had 2 or 3 conversations that one day around this. And you learned that, well, I knew right away because of what you were writing on some things that you are a natural reader. And then I helped you to discover a little bit more just how easy it is to do that. So I've helped you to begin to develop a path of trust. Okay, so when and what I mean by this is, when I started to reach out and ask for help, I didn't reach out to well, let me rephrase that. I was going to say a stranger on the street. Although, you know what, if somebody didn't know me and they asked me, I'm one of those strangers on the street that would help out. So that's not a very good example. When you start to ask people for help, what's going to happen is 2 things. One, it's going to be exactly what I just said. You're going to start to develop that tool. You're going to start to develop the trust that you can ask certain people for help. And I think that's really important to understand. And it's also too is, okay, I just lost my frame of thought. Bear with me here a moment. Wow, I just went completely blank. I don't know what happened there. Okay, I get that. Thank you. That complete blankness is possibly not knowing where or who to ask for help. Okay, so it's just like I said on here. This whole group has been set up to empower each of you. This whole group has been set up as a place to ask for help. Now, is it a place that you're going to ask for financial help? No. It's called soulful empowerment. It's not called financial empowerment, right? So this soulful empowerment is so that you guys can reach out in here and start to ask for help. It's just like I did on that one post. There was twofold things happening with that one post that I put out there about hitting my upper limits, and I used my avatar, and I'd had such a rough day. That was just over a week ago, and 2 things happened there. Is one, I got to show you guys, first of all, that I'm human. I'm just like you guys. And secondly, it was a cry for help. And many of you reached out and supported me with your words. And some of you took that a step further and said, let's connect. And we did. We connected and we talked about this. And I love that. That's what this group is all about. Okay. So if you need help, start somewhere where you feel safe and comfortable asking for help so that you can develop that tool of trust. And then you can start to bring it into your personal living space with whomever you're living with, your children, your spouse, your parents, etc. And I do this because I'm living with my mom right now, believe it or not, 57 years of age. And I'm only living here for a little bit, but we're here to help them out. They reached out and asked us for help, right? And it was really interesting. The other day I was having a conversation where I got really in depth with what's going on in my life with my husband and what our dreams are and where I want to be with my business. And I was starting to make the comment, I'm really happy that we're here. And my stepdad said, well, I'm really happy you're here too. So it's just really understanding that when you open up the lines of communication in places where you feel comfortable, then that tool of trust begins to grow. And this is another one of those steps of starting to understand how much support is around you with regards to your guides and stuff. Start asking your guides for help, okay? If you don't feel comfortable reaching out to your personal people in your direct physical life, we are here in this group. If you don't feel comfortable reaching out in this group, then start asking for help from your guides. I do that all the time. You know what? You don't have to be able to, what's the words I want to use here? I'm going to I want you to step into that state of knowing that if you're asking for help for the highest good and for the most benevolent reasons, then what's going to come through is going to be coming through your guides. So now that's really interesting, because we could go off on a whole tangent about what you're asking for, but do know that if you're asking your guides for help, they will help you. Okay, it's just like when I sat down to this, I literally wrote in my morning pages about loving myself. I wrote in my morning pages about being open. I wrote in my morning pages about aligning myself this day with my guides, known and unknown, for the highest good and for the most benevolent reasons, or for the greatest good. So it's little steps like this that is really going to help us to move through. I hope that helped you, Charisse. Yeah, and I see Katie's had the same type of experience as Charisse. Thanks, Jennifer, with the meditation Saturday was wonderful. Truck, good, you guys understand the truck story. Thank you, I really appreciate that. Camille, is this an expectation for synchronicities? Okay, let me see if I understand that. Okay, so there's synchronicities and there's expectations. You might want to reword that sentence a little bit, because I'm not really clear on what you're asking there. Things are going to happen that are very synchronistic because of your guides coming through, because of learning to ask for help, because of being open with no expectations, no limitations, and being okay with the outcome. I can see I'm on the hour already. Technically, I was only going to do an hour, guys. As it turns out, this is a day that I can do it a little bit longer, so I'm going to keep answering these questions for just a little bit longer, okay? If you reach out, like, it is, I'm guessing that I almost like I want to remove some of the words in your sentence, in your question there, Camille, because I'm not really sure that I understand it. I've never had an expectation to have synchronicity happening, but I've been very aware that synchronicity is happening. Okay, and I'm going to leave it at that unless you want to delve a little bit further into that. Okay, and yes, to just be open, Colleen, beautiful. Be open with no expectations, no limitations, and being okay with the outcome. So the limitations, as I said, we're going to discuss this a little bit further tomorrow, but I'm going to say that it's a limitation to some degree when we put specific things on there and then we're ironclad. Like if you set up that move date and you lined up everything so that you had no window at all for things to go wrong, that's an expectation and a limitation that you've created. And you've set it up so that if something does go wrong, that you're going to be disappointed throughout the whole day because your timing of everything is. For instance, when my daughter and I flew to Belarus one year, we flew Ontario to Germany, Germany to we flew Ontario to I can't remember where we flew. Anyway, coming into Germany, my daughter actually had an allergic reaction at the airport in Germany, and we ended up missing our flight out of Germany, and things were set up. But because I was already subconsciously stepping into the energy of this, even though I wasn't even aware of this phrase already, I was already doing this back in 2013, because I was already kind of open to things shifting and changing, that I didn't get all hung up on it. I just started to put in line the things that needed to be done. I made the call to the insurance company. I made the call to the family so they knew what was going on. And I got a room lined up, and I got a taxi for her and I, et cetera, et cetera. So I just flowed with it. So if you give yourself the room to flow, then you're going to be absolutely fine, Colleen, okay? I love that. Thank you for clarifying a little bit more. Male and female energy. Camille, I'm unable to ask for help. I would love to be helpful to others, to serve the world. see more. My see more button isn't working. I can't see what else you wrote. My screen is not going to let me see what else you wrote, Camille. My apologies. You know what? This is kind of comical, Camille, and I love you dearly. It's so beautiful because the other day you and I were speaking about boundaries, and you said you were unable to set boundaries, and I literally pointed out to you what boundary you had set. So I really want you to start to shift out of that. You have literally written an I am negative sentence. I am unable to ask for help. I want you to start to write this sentences as I am able to ask for help, okay, for starters. Because you're manifesting yourself into being unable to ask for help. And I know you've asked for help because you and I have had conversations. You have sent me emails when you're saying stuff in it. Now, did you come right out and use the phrase, I am asking for help? No, you haven't. But you have asked for help in what you've written. You've asked for help in how you speak. So do know that you are on the path to learning how to ask for help in different ways, that you have been asking for help in different ways. Okay, so I'd like you to drop that UN out of that sentence. I want you to write this in the comments. I am able to ask for help. Please, Camille. Thank you. Okay, what if you're alone, must call someone in? Okay, so I had this conversation with a tribe member last night too, and it's really understanding that we're kind of in an interesting situation here with regards to what's going on around the world with COVID, etc. And it's if you have the things in place to make your space as they come through the door a place that, bear with me here. I'm saying this in the reverse. Essentially, you're going to meet them at the door. They're going to be putting on a mask, or you're going to hand them a clean mask. You know, at the hospital or at the clinic, when you go to any of these places that are a medical place, they actually ask you to take off your mask, put it in your pocket, and they give you a fresh mask. So that's one thing you could do. The other thing is having that hand sanitizer there, and then they can clean their hands. Now, is this what you meant, Camille, by saying, what if you're alone and must call someone in? Then, yes, there are things you can still do to protect yourself with regards to COVID specifically. And if you need to call somebody in, then, you know what, there are ways around doing that. If you feel uncomfortable around certain genders, then call in a gender in the other one. Believe me, you know, we've seen women in all sorts of different fields now doing all sorts of different things. So if you feel like calling in a woman who's a plumber to help you in your plumbing, then do that, right? All you have to do is look in the yellow pages. I'm not sure if that's what you needed to hear, but okay. How to connect to our guides. You know what? I'm actually on the hour. There are so many directions in which the word expectations can go. I suspect the boulders you talk about are connected. My Seymour is just not working, so I apologize to you guys. I'll be clicking in on this. Okay. You lost sound. I appreciate the clarity. I'm able to ask for help. I don't know what happened, but I can't hear or see. Okay, that's on your end, Colleen. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, still here. So I just want to touch base with that, what Charisse just asked, and then I'm going to wind up. So Charisse said, can you explain how to connect with our guides? So I'm going to ask you to connect with the two easiest guides that you've got. Okay, first of all, breathe your way through the I am open mantra, okay? And then the next step is, it's very, very simple, and you can ask for either one of these guides. You can even ask for both. You can ask for your higher self or for your little you. These two guides are the two guides that are most connected to you right off the bat, because these are the ones that walk with you daily and are with you all the time. Okay, so it's developing that relationship between these ones. And all you have to do, in all honesty, is say, I would like to connect to my higher self. Take a breath. If it's your little you, I would like to connect with my little you. And then just take a breath. Now, when I say that, I've gotten into such a beautiful habit with them that I immediately feel them. I immediately feel where they are. My higher self always pops up over here. My little you feels to be right here on my right side, and quite a bit shorter, obviously, so down lower. Now I'm going to give you all this information, and then I'm not going to put it into practice right now. So this is something that you guys are going to practice overnight before we come back tomorrow morning, okay, or tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, depending on where you are with the time. The when you ask to connect with either the higher self or the little you, I want you to do number one, get a sense of where they are. And when I say get a sense of where they are, you are literally going to be stepping into that I am open with no expectations, no limitations of being okay with the outcome. Then you're going to say, hey, I'd like to connect with my higher self. Take a breath. Feel into the energy of where they are. Let's do it. Let's do that, okay? So I'm open with no expectations. No limitations. And I am okay with the outcome. I'd like to connect with my higher self. Now just allow your higher self, get a sense of where your higher self is. And it could be anywhere, your higher self, okay? Now, if you felt a direction or could, either felt or sensed or a word popped into your head of where your higher self is, write it down in the comments, okay? Write it down in the comments where you thought your higher self is. And where your higher self is entirely personal to you. So if your higher self is at your feet, your higher self is at your feet. It's okay. There's not a big deal about that, okay? The other thing to do with this too is it's just a sense of knowing behind you. I love that. I love that, Katie. Beautiful. Now, also too, the next part of that is going, okay, I want to have a feeling of how your higher self is presenting themselves to you. Is she in the sides of my eyes and a quiet smile? I love that. I love that. So you're just really getting a sense of how in tune and how close you are with your higher self. Beautiful. What does she look like, or he look like, right? For me, I know my higher self so often shows up in this beautiful native attire in the deerskin outfit, top, short sleeves or long sleeves, skirt, beaded work, and it's just so magical when I see her and feel her. So what is she appearing like? What is he appearing like? Fairy-like and above and behind for Jennifer. Beautiful. Just like that card probably that you drew the other day. And that's okay too, Linda. If your higher self is coming across just as this beautiful, almost like mist or something like that, that's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Nothing wrong with that at all. Hi, Mom. Beautiful. Okay. And now you could take that a step further and ask for them to say one word that they want to give you. And of course, you've stepped into this with being open, with no expectations, no limitations, of being okay with the outcome. So what's that one word that your higher self wants to give you? Write it in the comments. I can feel you guys' energy. It's magical. It feels so good. Beautiful. Okay, the comments are rather slow to come in, and that's all right. Okay, Camille feels love. Beautiful. Wonderful. Yeah, that's what I got too, was love. Self-love. I couldn't do it. My daughter came in with schoolwork questions. We'll have to. Okay, I want you to take the word try out of there, Charisse. You will do it later, okay? Peaceful, truth, purity of spirit. Love the comments that are coming here. So, Charisse, you, all of you, not just Charisse, but all of you, what I want you to do is throughout the rest of the day is, or the evening, or even as you're going to bed tonight, is tap into the energy of connecting with your higher self. Ask to have to have a conversation with your higher self. Ask to have a connection with your higher self. Ask to be shown what your higher self wants you to know. Ask, and you know, some of this might be even too broad, but just practicing that connecting. I'd like to connect with my higher self. Sensing where your higher self is, then maybe ask them to show you a color, or ask them to show you a piece of fruit, or ask them to show you a tree or a flower. You know, start to work in this way. And Charisse, I'm really glad you said what you did, that you couldn't do it because your daughter just walked in, and you will do it later. I want to mention that for myself, one of the things that really helped me to get very strong in connecting with my guides was making the decision that I wasn't going to set up all these specific parameters that I had to have in place to be able to do something first. So, for instance, I didn't decide that I was going to go into a quiet place, light a candle, do this, drink water, do this, do that, do this, set up a ceremony, clear this energy, do that, and then connect with my higher self. I just decided that, you know what, I'm just going to say I'm going to connect to my higher self. And it doesn't matter if I'm in a subway, and it doesn't matter if I'm in a schoolroom, and it doesn't matter if I'm in a restaurant, and if it doesn't matter if I'm walking beside a river, it doesn't matter if I'm on my bicycle. I do it everywhere and all the time. That I personally am no longer necessarily sidetracked as much as I was before when I first started doing this. So understand that you can set this up so that you can get in the habit of being able to do this everywhere, anytime, regardless of setting up ceremony or just doing it. Okay, guys? I'm going to finish with that. I think that's been a really informative first workshop. So appreciate the guys that came on here. If you're watching the replay, write #replay. I really hope that as you're watching the replay, you got involved, you wrote comments down. For those of you who have written questions and I haven't been able to see all of the comment, I will go back and take a look at this later today. Know that this group is here specifically so that you guys can work on this stuff, right? Ask the questions, ask people the questions, make a status. You can see that my moderators are putting beautiful posts on here that were available to you, that I'm answering your questions, that the moderators are answering your questions or making comments on your stuff. So just really kind of stepping into the energy that this is a free, beautiful space that you have the power to ask for help. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a powerful rest of the day. Take care, guys.